Welcome to From the Heart with Maggie, Linton, and Carl Powell. Enjoy the conversation.
Well, it's so good to see you again, my friend. You bring joy to my life every time I think about you and see you. And you're going through another transition, going to make everybody healthy and happy.
Life is a crazy thing because you bring me joy too. And we've talked so many times before. Over, if you believe it, 12 years we've been back and forth talking. And
Hmm.
you've and I've seen you evolve into different things, and life has evolved me in ways that I have never even imagined. Uh, I thought when I started my whole journey with working with senior citizens that I was going to teach them some exercise classes, teach them a few breathing techniques, some meditation, and call it that. But what I learned in that journey was there was so much more to learn for me first and then to share.
Hmm.
So through my work with the AARP, I've been working with seniors with their body and brain health. And there are six pillars of brain health, which are ongoing exercise, stress reduction, being socially active, what you eat. And so when you go down those paces, then I realized there's so much more to it about getting proper sleep. Because as seniors, our sleep pattern changes. But as we don't speak to each other about some things, we don't talk about it. But we
So,
need a little less sleep than we thought we did.
exactly. I tell people all the time I'm about a 5.5 to 6 hour sleeper, and my
Mm,
eyes open, and I'm pretty much ready to get up. When I'm really
mm,
tired, I can sleep more. But that's my
mm,
pattern. And
mm,
it's kind of always been that pattern, mainly because before I get out of bed, I'm saying thank you and making plans for the day.
mm,
And
mm.
then I'm up, I'm exercising, and I'm ready to go. So I'm looking forward to that life. And that's what you have kind of done for so many other people, making them aware of what they need to do to stay healthy.
And most important that you are approaching your life with a positive mental attitude, because that is the key. If you wake up and go to sleep every night in gratitude, you're ahead of the game. And that's why I really don't believe in organized religion, but I do believe in God. And I do believe that that's why they ask us to pray before we go to sleep. Because when you sit down and pray, what you're really doing is saying thank you for all of the things that you have. You're showing your gratitude. And from gratitude, everything else can grow. If I'm grateful, I will take better care of my body. If I'm grateful, I will look forward to waking up the next morning. If I'm grateful, I will get out and talk to other people and share my experiences. If I'm grateful, I will go out and learn new things. So gratitude makes everything grow.
Well, you have done your Grow with Carl forever, but now it's body and brain health. And
Mm.
what led you to this path? Because it has so much to do with your mom and what she struggled with her final years.
During the pandemic, I learned that my mother was suffering with dementia. And in truth, I didn't even know what that meant. I knew that she was going through some changes, and I didn't understand those changes. She didn't understand those changes. And it took us over a 5 year period from the time she started having little experiences to her death that we both had to learn so much together. And as I learned that, I learned there are a whole lot of things about caregiving that I didn't understand. Like I didn't understand that when she got violent and angry, if I put my hands on her and sat her down, that that was okay. Because the first time I did it, I laid down and I cried. I had never put my hands on my mother in my life. And I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I didn't know how to talk to somebody else. Was that okay? Was it okay if I called you up and say, hey, Maggie, I had to put my hands on my mother last night. Would you judge me? And that, and you judge yourself. So there were so many pieces of it before I understood what it actually is that I had so many regrets and worries around. And I just didn't have another caregiver to say, what is this? What's going on? Has this ever happened to you? And so through that experience, the pandemic happened. I closed my yoga business. Now, what am I going to do? So I had no idea. That's why I changed my name to Grow with Carl when I said I'm just going to grow from here. So I planted the seeds of growth and I said, whatever happens, I want it to be intentional because all the rest of my career has been a people pleasing expedition. Whatever people said they wanted, I created, but I
Mm.
wasn't planting the seed and creating it for myself. one of my lessons from the pandemic. So as I planted those seeds, I started with working with seniors. Then I started working with the AARP. Then they asked me to be on their speakers board to talk about brain health. And I thought, oh, this is a no-brainer. I can do this. And as I started to research, I saw, wow, all of these things are the things I needed to know while I was caregiving for my mother, but I didn't know. And
Yeah,
so
but
when
you've also discovered that so many other people were going through that. And so many people keep themselves away from others as they're helping someone because of, in a sense, the shame of dementia, the shame of knowing that that family member is declining. But there is help out there, but so many people don't seek it.
and it's hard to even, it's not readily available. Like I've talked to so many caregivers, and that's what has led me to this path that I'm on right now, who we've had the Me Too experience. You'll love this, but I talked to Maura last night, and she is going to be one of the authors in my book, and she's going to write about her experience with
With
her
her
mother.
mom. Mhm.
And I hadn't talked to Maura on the phone in 25 years.
Really?
And we got on the phone, and our entire conversation was, me too, me too. That happened to you, me too. And that really seals it for me that this is what I need to be doing, because there's so many caregivers that have the same experience that they've never expressed it. In the Black community, we've been taught to keep our business in our house. So if grandma's going crazy, no one's going out in the streets and talking about grandma going crazy. So, but if you don't go out in the streets and talk about it, then you can't find any information and you can't find help.
And
And
you
so,
also, so many people also think they're the only ones going through it. You
mm,
know, and a lot of times I have a neighbor whose
mm,
brothers and sisters act like their mom is already dead. She's
uh,
not. But the one
mm,
caregiver is there absorbing everything.
mm,
Cared for his dad, he died. Now he's caring for his mom and making sure everything's okay for her. And so often you see that divide within families too.
yeah, that always happens. I mean, it's almost a natural thing that happens because each child, as an adult, they grow up and they grow their own opinions. I talked to another friend. She had the same experience. Her mother just passed. She's not speaking to her brother anymore because of the way he acted during her mother's illness.
Hmm.
So I think that that's one of the common denominators is we can't expect, or when we become adults with our siblings, pretty much we're living in our own worlds. So it's hard
Right,
to get those worlds back together when it comes to the one
right,
thing that brings you together.
right.
Yeah. And once that cord is cut, once mommy's gone, then we get to show who we really are and how we treat each other. So I think
Hmm.
a lot of caregivers and a lot of people, the caregivers I talk to, they have taken on the brunt of caregiving, and then the siblings come in and expect the brunt of the reward at the end.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so often that's what they're waiting for is the end results of how much money I'm going to get. And
yeah,
that's not what it's all about. It's the care
yeah.
leading into it. You know,
Mm,
I didn't experience that loss because my mom went into um, a coma for 3 weeks before she passed. So there was,
mhm,
and her mind was fine before then. My dad's were too, but they died 4 days
mhm.
apart. And
Wow.
that within itself was a shock. But even more so, my sister had kind of given up and acted like they were already dead. And so everything fell on me. And that's a
Mm,
hard burden.
mm,
No animosity between us, but it
mm,
is very hard to
mm,
accept.
mm. It's strange. You just said your mother and your father both passed. When that happens, like my mother and my father are both gone, all of a sudden it gave me free reign to reframe my entire childhood. Because before they left this earth, I'm mad about this. You didn't give me enough of that. You didn't pay attention when I was in the third grade. All that stuff in your head. And now I go back reframing and looking what a great man my father was, how he was so creative and how he had the first dollar store in the world. So he opened a dollar store when he was in his late 20s as a Black man in Western Pennsylvania and was able to make that rock and work for years and
Hmm.
years and years. He had an
Hmm.
ice truck, he had a garbage business. I laugh because I'm so much like him. And I look exactly like him. It's almost frightening.
Yeah, you've thrown up a couple pictures, and I'm going, whoa, well, no denial there from Daddy, for sure, right?
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about this book that you've mentioned because very creative way that you're looking forward to putting it together with many people sharing their stories and hopefully helping many others.
So it originally started that I was going to write a memoir about my experience with my mother. So I hired a writing coach because in all of my other writing experiences, I talked about EFT tapping, a children's book, something motivational, but I really never talked that much about me and my own life experience and had to tell that story, which somehow I was more difficult to pull out of myself. So I hired the writing coach and I'm writing the book. And while I'm writing the book, I start doing things like I joined Hawaii has a dementia initiative coalition. And I joined the coalition. We're having our first Zoom meeting, and every single person in there had been or still is a caregiver, and everybody had a story. And I turned off that Zoom meeting and I sat there, and my brain just started to, oh my goodness, I've talked to so many caregivers, and all of a sudden, I'm realizing that everyone has a story. And how beautiful would it be, effective would it be to create a resource guide for people who are going through caregiving and have those questions that we all had and give them answers and hope at the end of the tunnel. Because sometimes caregiving things feel so hopeless and you get so stressed out. And sometimes just reading words from another person that says, sister, breathe, because I've been through that, is a day changer, a life changer. So I really want to supply that resource for people to be able to say, I'm going through this. Let me read a few of these stories. And by the end, you'll have a smile on your face.
Also, let's talk about the health of the caregiver because you've gone through your own health issues too,
Mhm,
also during the time that
mhm.
your mom was deteriorating. And you go, who do I go to for that?
Yeah. You
And your
know, for,
search for staying healthy.
for me personally, I have been going through, I have autoimmune disease. And I talked to a therapist last week, not in session, but just a friend of mine who's a therapist. And we were talking, and I said, I feel like for the last 3 years, I've had my feet stuck in the mud trying to get forward. And that's exactly what's going on with my body. My legs are having a hard time moving forward. And so I'm going to do a hypnosis session with her because she said a lot of times those wounds that you carry within your brain keep your body in that same state.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's again with the book, you know, when you find solutions and when you start to see, oh, this is the answer, or I'm not the only one, or let me sit down and really think about what I'm going through. Because sometimes
Right.
you're moving so far trying to take care of mom or trying to take care of dad or your husband that you forget to take care of yourself in the process. It's 17 to 25% of caregivers die before their patients. And that's just a general number. When people reach 70, if you're 70 and you're a caregiver, you have a 70% chance of dying before the person you're taking care of.
That's what's crazy. And I know that for sure because I've
Mm-hmm.
had friends that has happened to. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
expecting one to pass away and the other one does. And then we stand there and we say, oh no, I can't believe so and so's gone. And guess what? The
Mm-hmm.
caregiver is the one that's gone,
Yeah.
you know? And it's that's really startling. That shows you
Yeah.
how important it is for the brain and body to be cared for, in particular by the caregiver,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they
And I talk,
also, in a sense, carry so much guilt too, because they feel they aren't doing enough.
and I talk to caregivers and people who are on their way to needing a caregiver to participating in your own healing process. If you know you're about to need a caregiver, make sure you take good care of your body and keep yourself strong. Make sure that you can go to the bathroom by yourself because that's the one thing that's very hard for a caregiver to have to do. But if you keep yourself strong enough to just use the bathroom, get up and move here and there, you're helping your caregiver and you're helping yourself. But we're all going to end up in that place. I mean, it's inevitable. And we're going to need someone else to take care of us. And so if we learn how to take care of others and take care of ourselves at the same time, that keeps rolling forward. I'm taking care of me, I'm taking care of you. But as a caregiver, you really have to take care of you because that is ultimately the most important. You can't serve from an empty cup.
And so many people are totally empty and don't even
Yeah,
want to admit it, do they?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh, let's talk about the book concept again is so important. And I feel like you need to get the information out about how people can become a part of it, and also about the website, which is really, you've done a very fine job on that too.
okay, well, let's start with the book and how people can get involved. And let me tell you, I literally came up with this concept on Monday in my head. I typed it up Monday night. I sent a newsletter out on Tuesday morning, and I put a little thing on Facebook. I need 15 authors for the book. I already have 7 in 2 or 3 days. But
Wow.
it has taken me to such beautiful places. There is a woman who I worked for in 1988. I have not spoken to her again since 1988. I put that feeler out on Facebook. She got to me, told me her story, and signed up for the book that day, no questions asked. And I believe that there are so many people that do have stories, who do want to share their stories. And it's more important, if we all share our stories together, we have so many more people that we'll reach. And that's what a book is really about. Who are you going to be able to reach with that book? If I wrote my book, I
How
might be able to
Peel,
reach. Yeah, right. I'm reaching my
really?
people, and yeah, I'm reaching a few people. But if it's 15 of us together and we're all taking that book out there, it's going to go worldwide. It can't help but not to. So I'm really looking forward to getting this out there, because one, the caregivers, I can't tell you how excited they are to tell their story, because it's something that they've been holding in for so long that they want to tell the world. We all do. I got through this, and this is how I got through this, with a smile on my face and a song in my heart, because that's the most
Body's
important
still
thing.
healthy.
Yeah,
My body's still healthy too, and my
yeah,
brain not totally fried from it,
yeah.
because there's so many you have to deal with and take care of in that way.
Mm.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I changed the name of my business to Brain and Body Health, because I realized there was such a need. And as I saw the need, I wanted to fill that, because that's what I wanted to share with the world. And that
Mhm.
was such an epiphany for me, that I have been a people pleaser my whole life, which is not a bad thing, but I've always based what I do on what I thought would please people. I'm basing this on what I know helped me, so that I can help others. And it's completely changed the way that I think about what I'm delivering to the world right now.
You know, the other thing, what you said, you were a people pleaser, but even more so than that, you're a concerned people pleaser. And you have gone beyond the call of duty for trying to make everyone realize how strong and how much is needed for their self-care and
Mm,
staying healthy. So
yeah,
this is just another expansion of it, because you know the brain is what really motivates and moves that body in the right
mhm,
direction.
yeah. And another lesson that I got as I'm sitting down, and my health has not been great, was what I had to ask myself, what do I do best? And I realized what I do best is build community.
Yes, you do.
I
Yes,
look
you
at
do.
the magnificent body, the studio that I had opened 25 years ago.
When you put
15 of
that
the
picture up, I went,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
yeah, I
15,
was there.
15, yeah, 15 of those people still work out with me online. So I have been working with them for 25 years. We've seen ourselves going from young people to senior citizens, all together. But that sense of community is what keeps them together. And with the book, the same. I want to create a sense of community. I know there are a lot of caregivers who don't have the community to speak to each other, to talk to each other. There are so many caregivers that offer so many wonderful services I never knew about. But through this book, I can make a resource guide at the end. If you need this, you can contact this person. If you need this, you can contact that person. Resources for people to be able to find the help that they need. Sometimes it's nothing more than a phone conversation or email that says, I'm going through this. Thank you for helping me understand that I'm not alone. Because
Yeah.
caregivers so often feel alone in their struggle.
You know, the other thing I think about, and my neighbor, he just entered his mom into hospice care. And so many people think, oh, they're going to be carried away they're in home, but you can ask for as much or as little as you need. And somebody's
Mhm.
going to be there who understands and will help you.
Yeah. Help is all around us. Sometimes we just aren't looking for it in the right places.
Mm, very
Yeah.
true. Very,
And
very true.
with the book, I'm going to lead you to a place where you can find the resources and understand what you're going through a little bit better through the eyes of other people. Because a lot of times we are comparing ourselves to who, to who. So
Yeah.
compare yourself to these people that have already been through it and say, look, this person had a terrible experience, but at the end they learned so much, and you can't help but learn through that experience. My mother and I, we went through things. I thought, well, she has dementia, but I don't really know what that means, and the doctors never tell you. I never understood that dementia was the blanket, and Alzheimer's and all those other things are underneath of it. So the doctors told me your mother had dementia, but I never thought to ask. There are
Mhm.
27 different types. But if you don't
Oh,
know, how do you know? How do you
even I
know if you
didn't
don't
know
know?
that there were that many. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And I thought I knew
Mm,
something. I
yeah.
didn't, I'm
Mm,
just beginning too. And we mentioned moms and dads and family members, but my husband and I, Bob and I, wound up having a friend live with us the last 9 months of her lung cancer struggles
mhm,
because her kids were too busy for mom. She had her
mm,
mind, but her health was dramatically declining. And what she
mm,
needed more than anything was some joy in her life. And that's one of
mhm,
the things that the hospice nurse told me long after it was over. Said you brought her
mm,
joy because she was one of these people who tried to control everything in her kids' lives and they were walking away from her and she didn't know how
mhm.
to handle it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And you don't realize the joy that you can bring to another simply by kind words and kind gestures. And
yeah.
we all are looking for love and acceptance. But when you're sick, you feel so bad to even ask for it because for example, with me and my illness, I don't want to be a victim. I don't. And so there were a lot of times when I probably should have asked for help, but I didn't out of bullheadedness,
Stubborn.
stubborn, right? And now when I go back and I reflect, what I'm learning to do more often is accept the help. It's okay to accept the help, and it's okay to say, "This is all that I can do today." Because I like that people pleaser thing. I'll go over and above to help someone, to please someone, to help somebody in need. Sometimes that empties my cup, and I had to sit back and realize that if I accept the help from other people, then I can use that help and then transfer it, and my cup stays full.
Yeah.
So it's acceptance.
Yeah.
It's acceptance of this is where I'm at. This is what I can do. My favorite book is called "All You Can Do Is All You Can Do, but All You Can Do Is Enough." Because we don't know that sometimes. It's enough, and you have to give yourself grace to say, "I did the best that I knew at that moment to do." Now,
Yeah.
when I go back, I know a lot more about how I could have helped my mother, but I still have to tell myself at that moment when I was going through it, I did the best that I could with the information that I had. And so information is everything, is everything. Get out
Yeah.
there. If you're going through that struggle, get as much information as you can. You have to become an advocate for your caree because doctors and nurses, as hard as they try, they have a million patients. And sometimes people get shuffled over to the side. It's not intentional. I'm not blaming doctors and nurses. I know their jobs are hard, but I'm saying that's just the truth of the matter. So you've got to
I think
always.
you Yeah, I think that you also need to point out that the person that your parents may have had as a caregiver may not be the right person at
Yeah.
that time. And it's okay to go and seek, like they said, get a second or a third opinion because
Mm,
there are some doctors, nurses, practitioners, PA, whatever the case may be, but that know just a little bit more or fit your needs just a little bit more. And don't be
mm,
afraid to go outside of that box and do
mm,
that. That's what I had to
mm,
do. I remember when my parents moved east, we're looking for different doctors, and we did a couple that weren't the right fit, but we
mm,
kept searching till we found the right fit. And that's also
mm,
important too.
yeah. I just changed my primary care doctor because my last primary care doctor primarily didn't care. And when I talked to my new care taker, she said, "Why did you change?" And I said, relationships with doctors are just like marriages, and sometimes they just don't work. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make the doctor a bad person. Our relationship just didn't work. And you have to find that. You have to find the doctor that you have that relationship, not because all doctors are bad, but sometimes the relationship doesn't work. And so you
Right.
have to find the right relationship.
Exactly. Exactly. I just wanted to get that in there. All right. Tell people where they can go and what they can do. Okay.
Okay.
Because we could sit here, you and I could sit here and talk for another hour and a half, but we want people to know where they can go and what
Mhm.
tools they need to come with in order to be able to succeed and be part of this book.
Okay. The book is called Voices of Care. I'm looking for authors who genuinely want to share their story and give a little hope and light at the end. If you're interested, you can contact me at carl@carlpowell.com. Just send me an email, say you're interested, and I'll get an information kit out to you that explains everything, what it costs, what the parameters are, when the due date is, when we expect to put the book out. So I'll send you an information sheet with all of that. But if you are interested, even if you don't know you're completely 100% in, send me an email and let's talk about it, because I'm never against having a good conversation. Because
That is for sure.
I'm just learning so much. I've learned so much just this week alone about kindness and support. I can't believe that so many people I called before I even got to what it cost, or they said yes. I saw the words you wrote about what the mission is, and yes, I'm in. Uh, I was blown. I thought I was going to have to work so much harder. I'm amazed. I'm grateful to everyone who's already contributed and been a part so far. And we just need about 7 or 8 more people, and it's a go. So we're hoping to get the book out and published by 15th of March, 2026. So if
Okay.
you're interested, please contact me, carl@carlpowell.com.
Also, they can find out some on Facebook and under
Mhm.
what?
And Carl Powell, if you follow me on Facebook, that's Carl Powell. If you follow me on Instagram, it's Grow with Carl. Grow with Carl also on YouTube. And I have lots of videos there. So if
Yes,
you're
you do.
interested.
Yes, you do. And he can make you healthy. And then talk about the new website that you've created
So the
for
new
anybody.
website,
Yeah.
I was so excited when I decided that I was going to step into a different, no longer about Grow with Carl, it's no longer about me, but about what the mission is. That was the first kind of aha moment that that's what it needed to be. As I started my journey working with seniors, everybody had the same thing. They were worried about their body and their brain health. And most seniors are worried because they've seen their parents go through it, their husbands go through it. And so they really want to stay sharp and aware. And so when I realized the need, I realized that this is really what I wanted to do. And it's what I've been pulling myself into for the last 5 years. That's what I've been growing into. So as I grew all the way up, and I thought, okay, here I am at the top of my beanstalk, and body and brain health is everywhere. So let's absorb that. I changed my brand. Right now I'm taking a course and becoming a body and brain health coach. So there is, and a completely different world than fitness, which I love. And I'm a senior, but as a senior, learning something like I'm learning brain health, I'm learning brain science, something that is totally over my head, but it keeps my brain sharp. Every time I go and I study, my brain on the other side starts to create and do other things. So, as I know for my own personal experience, the more you get into learning new things, the more your brain will keep you wanting to learn new things and learn hard things. Learn how to play the piano, learn a new language, because the tougher the lesson, the sharper the sharpening for the brain is. So keep learning, keep growing. I'm gonna keep growing too, because my beanstalk isn't over yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Even though you've changed the name Grow with Carl, you're still asking people, us, your people, to still do that. You may be spinning off to another way, but we're still growing with you.
And this time I'm growing with you, and that's the difference.
You know, I love you. And I'm so happy that you're doing this, not just for yourself, but for others too, because your place in the world, you keep expanding it and into an empire. I love it.
My last conversation with my mother is I said, "You'll never die because I'll speak your name every day, and I'll keep doing everything I can to make you proud, because nobody was ever prouder than me in the whole world than my mama." And so, and every time I do something, I say, "Mama, you would appreciate this one." So keep hope alive.
That I love that. Very much so. And I love you
I love you too. Thank you for the conversation.
always.